One.
Hello and welcome to our evening meeting, open session now. The Board of Education was in closed session, including no action was taken. And I asked Ms. Joelle, would you please lead us in the flag salute? Your first big job.
Yes, please stand. Ready, begin.
Thank you. And Ms. Galicia, give us a summary of our workshop.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President and esteemed members of the board. This afternoon, we had the privilege of having Mr. C.J. Nolan, Director of Facilities, Maintenance, and Operations, provide the board with an update on all the summer projects that occurred at the high school and multiple sites. So he talked about the classroom renovations that occurred at the high school. There was about 48 classrooms that were renovated, and we also had the removal of portables. In addition to that, the classroom renovations were buildings 100, 150, 300s, and 400s. We also did roof replacements at the high school and McAuliffe, as well as continuing our work with HVAC and Pelican replacements district-wide. And then we also talked about the wellness garden that we completed this summer and multiple other projects that obviously were kept them busy all summer, but it was a good presentation, so thank you, CJ.
Yes, we were all exhausted after listening to it and very thankful for all the work that's been done. So I get to start with my board president's report. So,
Mr. President.
oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we're going to do a moment of silence to think about the people in Maui and also Dr. Pulver.
Yes, we just heard today that in Ohio, there's a bus accident with 20 plus students on one potential loss of life and others injured on their first day of school. So we'd like to think of them and their families during this moment of silence as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. These are people that are suffering, and we need to acknowledge that. All right, board president's report. Here we go. All right, welcome back. Staff meeting was held Friday before school started, and I don't think we could have been any more pleased than to get to see everybody. And Nicole, of course, captures the pictures that are the best. And I want to say one thing about this school district is any of the teacher openings that we had, the guy in the sunglasses right there, Andrew, you said he was the first in line at 5:15 or something to get his application.
5:15 in the morning, number one in line for an elementary teaching position.
Because it was going to take just 50 applications, and there were probably a zillion out there. So he made it. And here's more great pictures of how happy we all are to be back. And I wanted to comment on this. What I like especially about this event, it includes all staff, classified as well as certificated, because the classified are definitely a huge part of our team. So I've listened to a lot of opening school speakers, and I have to say Dominique Smith was incredible. Incredible. He's a high school principal, and he has, it's always good to hear somebody that's in the field doing the work. And Dominic led us through remembering to glow for our students before they can grow. And so what he did for us is reinforce our huge efforts, sending a message to teach each and every student that they are smart, they're kind, they are important, and you can be proud of who you are excited for who you are, and you can make a difference in our world. And that's the message of LOSAL right there, and it was just great to see it reinforced. The way we support and practice making the kids feel good about themselves and glow, we're supported by all staff, certificated and classified, awesome PTAs friends of groups, and all our volunteers. And some example at the elementary level were popsicles for all students when they celebrated getting to see who their new teacher was before returning to school. UTK and K play dates before school started, some on Saturday, some on the afternoon on Friday. And then elementary teachers providing welcome back treats as they got to know their kids on the welcome back popsicle party. It's amazing what they come up with to give them. So that was great. And then middle school examples, welcome back web days, student-led activities to get to know your new friends at both McAuliffe and Oak, registration days at the high school and at the middle schools with many parent volunteers easing the registration process. And my personal favorite was sixth graders learning to use a padlock for the first time, including my grandson. And when I asked him, well, give me one thing or two things that was great about the first day, and he said he figured out his padlock thing or whatever. High school community, we had middle school, and both middle schools hosted community nights to celebrate school and walk through the schedule for their kids so they could kind of know what room to go to, sort of know what room to go to. And then our high school hosted a very good crowd for the 9th grade parent night for all our entering freshmen. And I even heard about a booster club sponsoring first day pizza lunch for students. So I'm going to end with this. I stole this from a 5th grade teacher at Lee, and this was waiting on their desk the first day of school. And a few of the symbols that I chose to highlight were a yellow star to remind you that you are a star student, so shine on. A pot of gold to tell you that you are valuable and worth a lot. A blue moon to let you know that we all make mistakes and that's okay. I'm here to help you succeed, so shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll end up in the stars. And then maybe towards the bottom, a red balloon to remind you to soar above the clouds, take a risk, and try new things, and participate. And then my favorite, of course, and most of all, a pink heart to remind you that you are loved and I care about you too. So it was a great kickoff, and yes, the Los Al Unified School District makes our kids glow, and that's why they grow so tall and so well academically. And that concludes my report. Moving on. Are you ready, Miss Joelle? Okay. Yay.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening, President Forehand, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, any community members watching in person or online, and my supporters, including my ASB peers, friends, and family. My name is Joelle Kaiser, and I am your new student representative to the Board of Education from Los Alamitos High School, and this is my first board report. There were some greats before me, most recently Alexa and Blake and Will, and I've seen the positive impact they leave the community, and I'm so honored to be a part of this role. With that, I would like to share a little bit more about myself. I've gone to school in the Los Alamitos School District since kindergarten, where I attended Weaver Elementary School, then Oak Middle School, and now I'm starting my senior year at Los Alamitos High School. During my time in high school, you could say I jumped around. Along with taking my fair share of rigorous classes, I was able to be a varsity song leader, student mentor, and now ASB member. These experiences gave me the confidence to participate in activities that I am truly passionate about. Outside of school, I am often spending time with my family, basically my built-in best friends. Whether it's exploring Italy or playing volleyball at Seal Beach, I always cherish the time we spend together. And despite having all this fun outside of school, I think Los Al is so special because of the fact that school is a fun place to be. And I am excited to showcase why kids enjoy being a part of Los Al. Though it is my first year on ASB, I've gotten to see how much the amazing atmosphere at the high school relies on the efforts of ASB as a whole. Tonight, you see some of the faces of ASB, but who lead us all are our advisors, Mr. Berger and Mrs. Shaneker. So our activities director and ASB advisor, Mr. Berger, is a product of the Los Alamitos High School. In the photo to the left, he's getting an award at Lee Elementary. 2 promotions and a couple graduations later, he came to work for Oak for 5 years and is on his 3rd year teaching at the high school, as well as entering his 3rd season as head coach of the boys' varsity basketball team. And don't be fooled by his chill demeanor. Inside, he is jumping off the walls, excited about getting more involved on campus and interacting with students. He spent his past summer getting married to Megan, who was a huge supporter of himself and all of his endeavors. However, ASB is not a task to be done without a great partner. By his side, leading our ASB group, is Mrs. Shaneker. She also grew up in Los Alamitos, going to Lee, Oak, and then OSHA for musical theater. Now she has 3 kids that all attend Hopkinson Elementary. This year is her 3rd year teaching math at the high school, and her infectious enthusiasm and unwavering positivity light up the classroom every single day. She loves being able to create experiences where students feel included and connected at school. Both of them are truly amazing individuals, and we are incredibly grateful to have them leading us this year. It's going to be an exciting journey. Okay, to start things off with activities, we introduced many students, new and returning, to high school. Link Crew had 105 upperclassmen leaders come to campus during their summer to train and then give a tour to around 600 incoming freshmen. This program builds community right off the bat, and they keep connected year-round. And just before we knew it, the first day of school arrived. Teachers, administrators, and ASB were at the gates with donuts welcoming students back on campus. Personally, seeing so many students come into the gates, I totally believe we are ready to make this year the best one yet. And with all this excitement, we are so fortunate to have spaces to relax our minds at school. It is our 2nd year with the Well Space, and it has provided students with a safe place to connect and ask for help. Also, over the summer, this space was used during a staff training day. And now, as you exit the Well Space, you are met with our beautiful Oasis Garden. Whenever I walk past it on campus, I can hear the little water fountain trickling, and it makes myself a little bit calmer. These spaces are some of students' favorite on campus. Now, during the day, staying calm is key, but once Los Al gets on the field, you can find an amped up crowd. Football played their first game with the theme Giddy Up Griffins. Our boys have been tirelessly practicing in the midday summer sun to prepare for this game, and their results on the field showed it. Despite this game being an away game, the stands were packed with students and parents ready to support our Griffins. Students were decked out in boots, jeans, and cowboy hats and brought a little bit of country to Orange County. We started some new crowd traditions, including the wave, where spirit leaders Aaron and Trent ran back and forth along the stands to have spectators briefly stand and raise their arms. This was just a preview of what's to come this Friday when we have our first home game against Lucerna at Veterans Stadium. To say I'm hyped for this would be a little bit of an understatement, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the season has in store for us. Now, taking us back to summer, Los Al's Arts had an impressive one. Starting with the jazz program, they had 2 summer camps, one for high schoolers, but the second one consisted of the high school band members coaching middle schoolers. As coaches, they tested their musical ability in ways as approaching playing through the eyes of a teacher. The future Griffins had a great time getting to know their instructors, as well as new instruments, techniques, and styles. And in the drama department, 24 students and their instructors traveled to Bloomington, Indiana for the International Thespian Festival. Representing the state of California, a select group of Griffins performed their act #viral to spread their message of anti-bullying. Overall, our Griffins continued to hone in on their artistic skills over the summer, and we couldn't be more proud. Moving on to our student spotlight. Ryan Ramirez is an outstanding senior. He is a member of CSF, president of Model United Nations, and most importantly, our ASB president this year. In school, he is an academic achiever and is on the path to getting his seal of biliteracy in Spanish. Ryan impacted LoSal when he changed the club managing game. He took his duty as club commissioner seriously and was able to use his experience from being part of a successful club himself to improve how almost 100 clubs at LoSal are managed. Outside of school, Ryan has been working at the Los Alamitos race course for over a year. And when he's not working, he's enjoying game nights with his friends or going out to arcades. Whenever I'm walking to class with Ryan, our conversations are constantly being interrupted by people saying hi to him, which I don't really mind because it's a good feeling to know that people recognize how special he is too. I can't wait to see the amazing things you're going to accomplish as a wonderful ASB president this year, Ryan. And with that, I thank you for joining me tonight for my first board report.
Moving on to Dr. Pulver, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is exciting to be able to have our student rep joining us now at our board meetings. Welcome. We're excited to have you, and you did an excellent job, and I'm so honored to be able to sit next to you each and every night. You know, when Mr. Forehand, President Forehand, when you were talking about our staff, welcome back staff meeting and our guest speaker, Dominique Smith, really talking about this concept of glowing before to help people grow, like glow them up or really build them up before we, and then part of doing that helps them grow. I think that's really, it's about making connections and making sure that people realize they're not alone, that we see you. And it's so inspiring to me to see our students do that for one another as well. And a classic example is tonight, is to see all of you here to support our new student board rep. What I love is when you were sharing, like, look, I haven't been in ASB. This is my first year. Like, there are multiple pathways to be able to see and get connected and to know that no matter what, you're never alone, that you have this group of amazing individuals, this team, this collaboration. We're going to be there with you to lift you up. And so just hats off to our ASB students. It was so inspiring to see them handing out donuts on the first day of school. When we did the bus tour with our new employees, many of you are out there, including our ASB president, coming and teaching our new employees how to do the roller coasters. So you, as much as our job is to help you glow so that you can grow, I have to say that we're so fortunate to be in a district where we have students that really make us glow as well. And so we're really, really proud of that. And with that, it's just such an exciting time to be back. I say this often, but we're really unique to be in a profession that gets to start fresh each and every single year and have fresh starts and new beginnings. And so it's just such an exciting time. And that's why I think my heart goes out even more to those in Ohio. This was supposed to be one of the joyous days on our welcome back. And to have an accident there. And so they still remain in our thoughts and prayers. And for us, it's really just capturing so many of our friends and teachers coming back together to see the joy and welcoming. And so I thought I would share our first day video. Some of you might have seen it. It had over almost 3,000 views on YouTube. But if you haven't, here's the joy of the first day of school in LoSal Unified.
Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds, and we're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming, we'll keep running, nothing in our way, and we got no reason to wait. Let the journey adventure begins. Every step, writing stories that seek to be read, taking hold of the moment as we discover every color filled with wonder. Now we finally see we got everything we need. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins. Here we go. Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds. We're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming now. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins.
Welcome back, Los Al!
Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful.
Oh, I tell you, the joy of the first day, it just is exciting. I want to thank our communications director, Ms. Nicole Pichardo, for coming with me to all of the campuses on the first day of school and really capturing the sheer joy and why we are so blessed and fortunate to get up each and every single day to welcome our students and our families, and for us, our colleagues who are our extended family and friends. And so, great job. I'm so used to watching that on my phone. I forget how nice it is to look at on a larger monitor. You see so much more. So really just, I hope every day is that joyful, and I want to thank and welcome our families back. We're so excited to continue to partner with all of you.
Okay, thank you. Now, do we want to do pictures before our communication reports from the board, or?
I think that is a wonderful idea, Mr.
I
President.
see those kids thinking, I got to do homework and I got to go.
That's a great idea. Want to take a brief
board,
recess
you
for
guys
pictures?
okay? Okay. All right. We'll take a 5-minute recess so we Okay, moving on. Miss Tina, we do not have any cards? Oh, board, that's right. I skipped that. Let's start out with Scott. Scott, board communications. Go for it.
Thank you, President Forehand. I just want to say I got the honor and privilege and the joy to be at Weaver and McGaw's first day of school. Just everyone was happy. Everyone was joyous. It seemed like everybody had a smile on their face. And I just want to point out something that Dr. Pulver says quite a bit is, it's the people that make the district. And when I was at Weaver, the mom and this young gentleman who was probably about 2 dropped off the older sibling, and they're standing, waiting and waiting. So I went up and asked them, do you need some help? And the mom says, no, he's just waiting for his favorite person to finish so he can go give him a high five. That's how he's been waiting all summer because he remembers it. And it's 2-year-old. He remembered it from before summer. And it was, and I won't embarrass him, but it was the custodian at Weaver. And he was doing some weed work. And he turned around, and this little 2-year-old, which 1 remembered it all summer, and 2 waited a good 4 to 5 minutes just standing there patiently. If you've had a 2-year-old boy, you know how unbelievable that is. And when the gentleman turned around, the boy's face lit up, ran over, gave him a high five. The gentleman kneeled down, had a little 30-minute conversation, and the joy he brought to that little boy's life for taking 30 seconds out of his day is immeasurable. And I just want to say that happens all the time and everywhere. And if you can studies show, if you can make one connection with an adult at school, it's the greatest indicator of success. And it doesn't always have to be that teacher. So I just want to say thank you to all of the wonderful people that make our district so special.
And I have to follow that. I'm going to start with business, kind of. One of my adjunct duties on the board is I also represent Los Alamitos for the North Orange County Regional Occupation Program, which is a career technical ed consortium of 5 school districts. And we have a newer now, because he's been there over a year, superintendent. And one of the things that they have been really trying to do is that they CTE teachers are credentialed differently than our regular credentialed teachers in the classroom for the academic classes. You have to have industry experience and things like that. So lots of times they don't have a lot of teaching experience. So they're walking into either a middle school or a high school classroom with students, and they all of a sudden have 30 kids in front of them and they're not sure what to do. And then you have a retention problem because if the people feel like they're not being successful, they don't want to stay. And if they aren't being successful, the students aren't being successful. So they're going back to something that LaSalle strongly believes in, and that's in professional development. And this is the 2nd year, and they're refining it even more and more. And they actually had 8 full days of training for new teachers, regardless of what the curriculum you're teaching. And in career technical ed, you could be teaching anything from engineering to fire science to American Sign Language to video production. So the curricula doesn't necessarily intertwine very well. So they really focus on things like student engagement, good teaching strategy, regardless of what curriculum you're actually teaching. And then they always take they're taking the new teachers and partnering them with a mentor, so that when they have questions or situation comes up and they're not sure what they're supposed to do, they'll have someone on their campus that they can go to who might not be in their particular area, but is a CTE teacher. And then they're also planning on, it sounds like our 5 years, but way watered down, but still great. They're going to meet during the year so they can collect more questions and see where they're going and how they can support them. Like I said, LaSalle's been a strong supporter of professional development. I think that is how you keep getting better, and the whole desire to learn and be better at your craft is something to always be embraced. And so I was really so excited when I heard the details of what ROP did this year. So back to LaSalle. The all-staff breakfast is one of my favorite events of the year. Everyone is excited. It is New Year's Eve for every school employee in America when your first day back to school. And I love how all the schools show up in their own T-shirts, so it's really easy to tell who belongs to what site. It was great. I was also able to go to McGaw School for their first day. McGaw has a great relationship with the Seal Beach Police Department. I know the LaSalle Police Department's also involved with our schools up here in LaSalle. And they were there. There were probably 5 or 6 police officers. I don't know what was happening in the rest of Seal Beach, but they were all at McGaw. And we even had Yosa, who is our therapy dog, and she is by far the most popular person on the Seal Beach, or entity on the Seal Beach Police Force. But it was so great to see how excited the kids were to see them and to come up and to speak with the police officers. And I was also able to attend Weaver's Back to School Night. They started 2 weeks before our other schools started, and they hit the ground running. And there was standing room only, I think, in every single one of the classrooms. And you could just feel the excitement in the air. And if you want your child to succeed, one of the best things you can do as a parent is to become involved and supportive of the child in the classroom. And then my own personal public service announcement is, yes, we've been in school for a little over a week, but please, when you're driving by the schools, we still have very excited kids running around, literally running, or on bikes or e-bikes or skateboards. And so just at the time when schools start and when they get out, just be a little more patient. Thank you.
I don't know if you could tell I was a little choked up. I couldn't read my own notes. It was the custodian at McGaw, to give him full credit. I believe I said Weaver, so I want to make sure I give him full credit.
So with summer, the activities slow down, but they definitely don't cancel out. And I just wanted to talk for a few minutes about something that I think is really important that our community understands. And it's that nothing happens without a lot of long-term planning, people investing their minds and their hearts in everything they do, and developing a sense of connectedness. Dr. Pulver used that word. That's what this district has been doing over the last few years since COVID, to an extent that is just a gigantic blessing to my heart. And I think that it's really important that we honor Dr. Pulver, Mrs. Reed, all of the cabinet, our administrators and staff, and all the families who helped to build this sense of community. And this summer, it was just evident in everything that was planned, and it's long-range planning. It isn't something done overnight. The leadership advance in July, we were fortunate as board members to be able to attend. And that's a 2-day, we were there for the second day. We didn't get to go to the fun car day. But the second day we got to go to the training where all of the administrators from each site, directors and the district administrators and more were there to collectively learn about how to teach, how to create a sense of collaboration, unity, commitment, and the kind of culture where people aren't afraid to ask for help, and that everybody's special gifts are honored. And what I saw in that room that day was sort of a product of what this leadership and the leadership on each campus has been doing for the last couple years. And that's been, Dr. Pulver started, I believe, with mentorship, and Dr. Wieswright, you took over and helped Evelyn Garcia when she came to Oak as the principal. You as principal at McCullough, you're still young, but you were the experienced one. You mentored her, and what I see between the two of you is a very strong friendship. And we have quite a few new administrators this year, and all of them have been partnered with administrators with the same job on another campus. And you could see the sense of unity and camaraderie and just a comfortableness in the room that was like, it was like a family where you could take chances and learn from each other and not be afraid to venture out. And both Dr. Pulver and Mrs. Reed meet regularly with our administrators to give them the support and guidance that they need, especially the new ones. And that kind of culture then is being cultivated onto our campuses where our administrators are now sharing those same kind of values and mentorships and companionships that with the teachers and the staff to create the kind of atmosphere where as a teacher could turn to my counterpart and say, I'm lost, I'm confused, and not feel like I'm exposing my vulnerabilities, but turning to somebody I can trust for help. And I think in our society today, people feel so alienated and alone, and I'm just so proud of this district that we're creating that kind of an environment where people partner together, mentor, build relationships that become friendships, and create an atmosphere where no one is afraid to say, I need help. And so I'm hoping that now all of that kind of leadership does transfer onto every campus so that every teacher feels comfortable turning to his or her principal and assistant principal where we have them, or counselor, whatever, to say, this is what I'd like to do, this is what I'd like to try, or this is what I need to know. And I can ask you that, and you're not going to think lesser of me. And instead, you're going to be my mentor, my partner, and help me accomplish my dreams and goals in my classroom or in my role. Dr. Dominique Smith gave us an hour and a half of some of the most powerful wisdom that just cut to my heart. I wish I could go back and fix some things or do them better as a teacher, because one of the things that really stuck with me is he said, please eliminate all labels. Always address, every student should have his or her name called out in a warm, loving, and supportive way every single day. They should be recognized, they should never be invisible, and they should never just be the ASB student. We listened to Joelle, and she has a whole story and interest all over the place. Well, there are kids that may have more divergent paths, but they're not it's that kid. That's Joe or Susan or whatever that student's name is, and this is what she's interested in, and this is where he could use some help. But we're looking at them as individuals with hearts and souls and minds, and we are going to connect them. And that, I think, most of all, what I got out of everything I saw at the beginning of school, from the leadership advance, from our welcome back breakfast and Dr. Smith, to walking on McAuliffe's campus the first day and seeing how joyful all the teachers were to see kids coming back on campus, and they're playing music, and it was absolutely wonderful. To back to school night at Weaver, because they're on the different schedule, they were able to have one. It was so peaceful, and people were smiling and very engaged and respectful of what the teachers had to share. So I think that what I really love is, as we address mental health in our community, as we address mental health on our campuses, what we're saying is that we care about each other, that we care about each other's lives, each other's dreams, our frailties, our strengths, and that we are going to not miss one single person. We're going to cultivate that, and that's what I think what LaSalle needs to be known for now, is that connectedness, the collaboration, and the ability to care. So I applaud you. I applaud the work that you all are doing, and I am honored to be a member of this board, a member of this community, a former teacher, and a great aunt of a student is blessed to be on these campuses. And we can always do better, but we're going to do it together, and we're going to figure it out. So thank you.
That was beautiful, Marlis. Thank you, so I get to follow that. I really do appreciate what Marlis says, and also appreciate the way that we really got ready for the school year and really looked at leadership and what does that mean and how does that translate and how do we create that culture of collaboration and of caring and of being kind to all. And all, Dr. Pulver, Mrs. Reed, all of Executive Cabinet, you just did an extraordinary job to do that. And also it was very joyful. And it was really nice to be really joyful. And so when we talk about leadership and we talk about some of the things that our district does, I was reading what's called Week in Review, and I noticed that we had a copy of the athletic handbook for parents and for students. And I was reading through it, and I was just so pleased that we set such a high bar for our student athletes, and that it is important, and that value in what they learn on the field, on the court, whatever it is, isn't just about the athletic endeavor, but it is about what they learn about their character and moving forward. And I got to see a lot of that demonstrated at the first football game I went to on Friday, and also saw that from our students in the stands, from ASB to the cheer squad. They really do care about each other and care about being there together. And it was just, it was really extraordinary. And I'm just really pleased about that. And if you do have a student athlete, as a parent, I really suggest you really read that handbook and you go through that with your child, because that's one of the greatest, those things in there are the greatest lessons they're going to learn from their athletics. The welcome back breakfast, I walked on a little late. There were a lot of people already on campus. And when I walked through the gates and just saw the joy and the number of LaSalle staff there and the performances, and once again, I was just taken back and awed by the amazing people that we have in this district that are here to serve our students and our kiddos every day. And I just really appreciate that. And then I'll just end with saying I am involved with Taste for LaSalle, and tickets have been distributed. So if you don't have your ticket for Taste for LaSalle, find a Booster Club person and get your tickets for the upcoming event. It'll be October 14th, and that will be here before we all know it. Thank you, Mr. President Forehand.
Yes, and then I just want to I want to tell you, and I already talked about Glow Before You Grow, but I want to again reinforce all the activities that went on. I want to thank all the classified and certificated staff who make our schools shine for opening day and actually every day of school year. And all the teachers for all those extra hours creating the best room environments for our students anywhere in the whole world. I say that. And I want to thank our parents and our grandparents for donating many school supplies to kick off the year. And I'd really like to thank everybody that helped their kid remember their cafeteria number. I saw such creative ways to do it. One had strung beads together as a bracelet and put the number, his lunch number, in the bracelet. You could find the numbers on water bottles. You could find them notes. You could even find them written on their hand as they went through. So to the cafeteria managers, I'm sure would thank you as well. So I enjoyed the first day at Weaver, and of course the first day at Lee. And then I wanted to end with a shout out to the Weaver staff for kicking off all our back to school nights with a wonderful, informative program. And as you've all said, a huge parent turnout. So thank you. All right, here we go. Information presentations, public hearing on instructional materials, Ed Code Section 60119 requirements. I'm going to gavel out, and now I'm going to gavel in. Do we have any public comments? Andrea, do you need to talk to this? Okay, go.
Thank you, President Forehand. I am sharing with the board tonight that we are compliant with Ed Code 6119 and are offering sufficient textbooks and instructional materials district-wide. All students have access to materials that are consistent with the content and cycles of the curriculum framework adopted by the state of California. We do plan to engage in the instructional materials evaluation process to support high school biology and some courses in the social science at Los Alamitos High School this school year.
Now I'll gavel out and gavel in. Is there any public comments? Hearing none, I'll gavel out of the public hearing and back into the agenda. Yeah, almost. Okay. All right. And we'll go on to item B. Ms. Reed, presentation of supplementary materials.
Thank you, President Forehand. Tonight we are bringing forward a reader for Los Alamitos High School French 1 that provides repetition of high-frequency vocabulary words that support students in their articulation of the French pathway.
Thank you. Any comments? Okay. Better than me. All right. Moving on to C, presentation of supplementary materials.
We are also bringing forward a reader for French 3 tonight at Los Alamitos High School that focuses on historical fiction about famous MLB player Philippe Alou and his journey from the U.S. to the U.S. from the Dominican Republic. And it teaches high-frequency words, focuses on the Caribbean culture and its French ancestry, as well as introduces advanced reading and grammatical tenses. Exciting.
Nice. Any comments? All right. Moving on to the consent, items 10A through AE. Do I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Takes a minute here. We got to flip back. Okay. Action items. Dr. Pulver, adoption of the 23-24 district priority goals.
Thank you, Mr. President, esteemed members of the board. As you know, each year we always come together as a governance team along with executive cabinet and take a look at our priority goals from the previous year. We talk about some of the successes that we've had and then really setting a course and a vision for what we want to unfold for the 23-24 school year. What I love about this board is they're also really cognizant of that our priorities are kind of instilled within a vision as well. And so they don't change dramatically each year. And so that I believe that consistency and going deeper into what some of these priority goals really mean and how to unpack them further, I think is one of the reasons that continues why Los Al continues to be so successful, along with a myriad of other things. And so I also love that you are able to really relegate it to one page, because at some point when there's so many goals or so many things, because this is Los Al, we could have an anthology but to really get crystallized and clear about what it is that we're about. And then when difficult situations come, whether it be financial resources, time, which is another resource, staff resource, et cetera, are they aligned to the goals that we have outlined out there? So we got together in May. We normally get together in June, but due to different schedules, we came together. We brought in a facilitator to meet with all of us to kind of help us take a look at that. We also unpacked our governance handbook, which was approved at the last board meeting. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time just highlighting our district priority goals. And we really have 5 goals. We try to delineate even further our first 2 because I think the last 3, there's a lot of things within there that can unpack. But really our first goal is about passionately pursuing academic excellence from all students. By providing unparalleled preparation for college and career success. And that's what we're about. We really know that we are not the end game here. And so that students, we're going to leave here for their futures, for what they believe might, and what their parents and what their families believe is their unlimited possibility. And so whatever that happens to be, whether it's college or university, with a junior college, a trade school, or going right out into a profession and starting a career. And so it's about providing exemplary instruction through highly qualified staff and signature instructional practices. And we continue to refine those instructional practices, and then we tie professional development to that. Providing targeted intervention based on multiple assessments, tools of support for both academic and the social and emotional needs. And we really think that those have to be woven together, that they're not in isolation, that they really complement one another, to the point where we were so excited to be able to see some of the fruition of this past year, where 100% of our students graduated from Los Alamitos High School. It did not matter in what what type of student you were, or whether you were college bound or career bound, or any other type of track that you can imagine, that they all met our graduation requirements. And it's really about making sure our students exceed the standards. I don't know of any parent who says, I hope my child's below grade level. And so these goals are really about, what do parents want for their kids? Every parent wants their kid to be meeting grade level standards. And that promoting student wellness and academic rigor. And when we've done a lot with that, working with Challenge Success, bringing in wellness counselors and full-time psychologists, and really sometimes trying to help us unpack, sometimes it's this race to nowhere. And so how do we get to also really focusing on student wellness, as we've made revisions to our homework policies over the past couple of years, our grading policy, et cetera. Really, I kind of think cements some of this focus that our students want to, we hope they complete an A through G. But we're really more than just about advanced placement, that it's really about students taking an advanced placement, a CTE course. We have multiple pathways through us or through our consortium with ROP. Or some of you may not know, we actually have a dual enrollment program where our students can take courses through Cypress College as well, to start getting some early community college credits. And it's typically before or after school. That's not concurrently, but other ways for them to be able to get that access. Our second goal continues to really a lot about what we're talking about, creating this thriving and safe culture that ensures a caring, inclusive, equitable, and student-centered environment. And it's both the physical safety and then the social emotional safety, and the multi-layered interventions and deterrents to ensure those safety for our students and for our staff. That we really believe in terms of providing ongoing mental health services to students to foster their wellness, to foster staff wellness. And we talked about this connectedness, and as we unpack some of our data this past year, it's probably the highest student connectedness data we have had. Mostly we can really track it through at high school, and I think it was 80%, is that right, Deputy Reed? 80% of our students connected in some form or fashion. So for all of us who are in education, students we worry about are students who just come to school and leave, and they're not, because the more often opportunities you're connected to one of the 4As or to a club, you're having other hopefully positive adults shaping and influencing, or even the families of those people that you're involved with. It's kind of that village aspect. And then providing safe community schools based upon appreciation of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're really paramount about making sure that our schools work, and wanting to continue to provide ways that our schools work for all students, not some of those students. And when I unpack our core values, you're going to see, I think, a way that we really wanted to talk about that even further, recognizing that we meet kids where they are along their journey. And then goal 3, 4, and 5, we don't unpack as much because there's so much there as well, but it's really fostering a collaborative relationship with our partners, students, families, staff, and the community. Our goal is to provide high quality facilities to meet the educational and the instructional needs of our students and our staff. And you saw a workshop on that this evening earlier. And then how we continually strategically manage and allocate financial resources to maximize our students' educational experiences. And as you know, a few years ago, we really wanted to, our goals can't reflect everything. And so then where do we come down to what do we value in terms of our core values? And so we landed on 4, a core value of care, that we want to create a culture of kindness, that we hold ourselves responsible to accomplishing these goals and servicing the needs of our students and our families. We have a core value of equity, that we meet the needs of all students through systems and structures, and then we take a look at our systems and structures where perhaps they're not meeting that, that we value similarities and differences. And then we changed the 4th core value. Prior, it was commitment. And I think commitment and responsibility are pretty similar. And so we were talking about during our summer meeting is where I think we're so focused in on is wanting to make sure we meet kids where they are, that every kid, every student has their own unique an individual journey of what unlimited possibilities may look like. And so our job is to really believe in the value of every student's unique educational path, to make sure that our schools work for all and not some or not the majority of students. And that's our responsibility to recognize, respect, and honor their journey of an unlimited possibility. So I love this concept of really narrowing down that we want to honor their pathway and honor who they are as individuals. And so With that, I've presented our core values and our board priority goals, and I look forward to any further discussion or final approval this evening.
Do I have a motion for approval?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Meg?
I would just like to reiterate on what Dr. Pulver said. If you were to go back and reread all of those things, students are, I believe, in every line except one. And I remember during the recession where I had the unfortunate opportunity to what I said was dismantling public education in Los Alamitos because of the cuts we had to make at that time. But it really made the board and everyone really concentrate on what can we do for our students. We're going to have less resources, but what can we do for our students? And that laser focus on all of the students as a group and as individuals has really just carried through. And I'm very proud of these goals. It will never be 100% perfect, but that's okay. We're going to keep working until we get close to that.
Marlis?
So I just wanted to comment on, reiterate what he said also, but to give two specific examples. When I first came on the board, and it was going to be my first workshop, I didn't know what to expect. And I've been on so many committees where there was so much wordsmithing, where I just wanted to scream, pick a word, I don't care, they mean the same thing, look it up in the dictionary. But that's not at all what this was, because my first summer when we did the workshop, we moved mental health to the very top priority under goal 2. And now it's been moved to the second. That's what we did at the last workshop. And that wasn't because mental health became less important to anything else. It's because since we did that, since we made it a priority, well spaces were opened on every campus. We've more than doubled our mental health counselors. We've got psychologists on every campus. I mean, this district took to heart what it committed to on this paper, so it's not just a document, and decided that instead we need to provide safe, secure facilities and implement multi-layered interventions and deterrents to ensure the physical, social, and emotional safety of students and staff. That became number one because we laid a foundation for mental health, but then we realized there's very specific needs that we need to address. And so we need to go more deeply, and we need to address those individual needs and provide safety nets and support. So I'm really proud of the collaboration in all of this work and the debating and arguing that we went through that day. And it wasn't just a wordsmithing exercise. So thank you.
You're right, and I just call your attention and kind of reminding, when we did that, that's when I think our discussions with the executive cabinet as well, actually, they can't be isolated. The social emotional wellness has to be infused in pursuing academic excellence. And so that's when we infused it in goal 1 as well, when you take a look at that second bullet, as well as the third bullet of every student meeting, where we're talking about wellness and academic rigor, that they really have to complement one another, and they're not these separate issues as we're supporting our students.
Anything else? It's been moved and seconded. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to approval of the 2024 board meeting dates. Dr. Pulver.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow board member or esteemed board members, we are presenting our 2024 schedule for our regular board meetings. You will formally approve them again at the December, which is the organizational meeting, but it's always nice to be able to give the community advance notice of when those meetings are. You notice for the most part, we're sticking to one board meeting a month. There's a couple months where we have 2. And then similar to last year, where we're going to have a few workshop-only sessions that is still part of a regular meeting, but where we'll be able to really recognize our schools and do our school reports. And then I want to just call attention to our meetings over the summer when students aren't in session. So June 11th, June 25th, and August 6th. Those meetings, we plan to have both the workshop and the business items start at 4 p.m. So that staff who are working can get a little bit of a break as well, and not having to have such late nights in the summer. And so
It says 3:30.
Well, they can start as soon as 3:30. If every once in a while, it doesn't happen too often, But if the board needs to hear an appeal of a student situation or a parent situation, you do it in closed session, and we would need a little bit more time, and that's why it would be 3:30. Otherwise, most of our meetings start up between 4 and 4:30.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval? Move approval. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Approval of resolution number 2023-2024-02 for the 2023-24 instructional materials funding realignment program for grades TK through 12. Ms. Reed.
Thank you, President Forehand. As we shared earlier, since we are in compliance with Ed Code 6119, we are eligible for participation in the instructional materials funding realignment program for the upcoming school year.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So move.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Tina, roll call.
Mr. Fayette. Ms. Cattouli. Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
And Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. D, adoption of resolution 2023-24-03, approving the mitigated negative declaration as part of the CEQA, I think that's CEQA, process for the new gymnasium at Los Alamitos High School. Ms. Galicia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although we don't have DSA approval yet, we are actively continuing to prepare for the gymnasium. And so this is part of the California Environmental Quality Act, which is a process that we have to go through in order to meet the environmental regulations. So as you recall, last board meeting, we had the public hearing of the mitigated negative declaration, and now we're passing the resolution to ensure that we met those requirements through that CEQA process.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Thank you. Hearing none. Roll call.
Mr. Fayette. Ms. Cattouli. Mr. Forehand.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. E, approval of first reading of revised board policy 1325, advertising and marketing. Ms. Reed.
Thank you, President Forehand. Tonight we are bringing forward policy 1325, advertising and promotion, forward to the board as a first reading, and we are proposing the addition of 2 sentences to this policy. At no time shall any school group or team hang or post advertising or marketing materials on any school facility, field, scoreboard, or fencing without approval. All submissions for advertisements posted, hung on any school structure must also follow the school site approval process for boosters, nonprofit groups, and include specific dates for removal. The language is really just an addition to make it very clear that anytime marketing or advertising materials are on or connected to our school buildings, that our partners and gracious donors really do need to partner with our school sites, follow the school site approval process, which will be working with each of our levels to make sure are very clear, and then really have that removal date so that we're keeping a great relationship with people who generously donate to support many of our boosters and organizations. That's agreed upon in advance how long an advertisement or sponsorship may be up at any of our school facilities.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
I so move.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. F, approval to submit the consolidated app, the CONAP, or categorical aid program for 2023-24. Ms. Reed.
Thank you so much, President Forehand. And I really do want to give a shout out to our Director of Assessment and Accountability, actually our Director of Education Services. I need to correct myself. Mrs. Melissa Davis, who's been working in partnership with our Business Services Office to present our CONAP. And so we do present the CONAP to the state of California once a year, and it really indicates the district's intent to participate in certain state and federal categorical programs so that we are eligible for those funds.
Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. G, approval of warrants. Do I have a motion for approval?
Also move.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. H, acceptance of donations. This is one of our favorite things every meeting. See how generous our community is. So far, total, we've got 4,200, total year to date, $65,975.43. Wow, do I have a motion for approval? Second? Second? Moved and seconded, any discussion? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes. Approval of revised job description for food service assistant 1. Dr. Weiss-Wright.
Thank you, President Forehand. We have updated the job description for food service assistant 1 and food service assistant 3 to reflect an update that they no longer are required by the state of California to have their food handler certificate, but that it is still preferred or recommended.
Okay, so we're actually looking at I and J. Do I have a motion for approval? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes 5-0. Moving on to our classified and certificated personnel report. Dr. Weiss-Wright.
Thank you, President Forehand. We'd like to present the classified and certificated personnel reports with the changes that have been made over the last month, and we recommend approval as submitted.
Do I have a motion for approval?
Also move.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? They've been busy. They've been busy, that's for sure. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, 5-0, it passes. We will now adjourn this part of the meeting and move into closed session where we will talk about district labor negotiations, public employee discipline, and student discipline. Thank you all for tuning in tonight.